Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're live. We're in the studio. To get involved in the chat and the comments, going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. We've got transfer stories, as you would expect. Transfer season, if you can call it that, is almost upon us. Plus, we'll be talking a little bit, I don't want to dwell on it too much, about the FA Youth Cup final. We're going to have more on that later on today because Finn Academy Scoop is going to be on. Plus, we're going to have a few other bits and pieces as well. Good to see some of the usual suspects and some new ones in there as well. Skittles in there. Martin P, Santa Notch is here. Morning all. Morning to you, Notchster. Heaven Soul is here. Mick Hollahan. Producer Ben. Morning, Motti and chat. I thought you were having a run. He's chatting to us whilst he's on. He's apparently on a 10k. Absolute techers. Right, let's get into this Mateus Fernandes story. So this is in the Mirror. Nathan Ridley saying Arsenal joined Man United in battle for £38 million Premier League star as transfer decision imminent. Arsenal are making plans to strengthen Arteta's squad and have identified a Premier League star who Manchester United have all registered their interest in. You can see him there. Mateus Fernandes is a wanted man, says the caption. This is a little bit concerning if you want Mateus Fernandes, because Arsenal is an attractive proposition. Now, look, Manchester United are a bigger club than Arsenal. I don't think that's a controversial opinion. However, there's certain things Arsenal can offer to the player that we can't. They can, with evidence to support it, say that they are a regular Champions League team. They're in the Champions League every year. We're not. We are next year, but we haven't been this year. What does that tell you? Or the year before, for that matter. Also, they can say, look, we're challenging. We're challenging for the Champions League. We're in the final. We're challenging for the title. We're top of the league and we've been second last 3 seasons running. So there's that. Plus, there's the bright lights of London. He's living in London at the minute, obviously playing for West Ham. He might want to stay in London. They can offer him that. We can't offer any of those things. However, we can say to him, look, if you come to Manchester United, you are going to start, probably. I'd expect him to, most games. We are in the Champions League. You are at one of the biggest clubs in the world. And he may have a desire to play alongside Bruno Fernandes as well. There's something that Arsenal can't offer. So there's no reason to give up on this one if Arsenal are in for him. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if Arsenal are willing to sort of go head-to-head with United all the way. If they are, though, it may well come down to the player's decision. It might be a case of both clubs are in and around the same fee. I think it was 38 million up to 42 million is what that was telling there. It might be a little bit more than that, to be honest. Both clubs in and around the same figure. Wages could be similar. I don't think Arsenal are too spendy when it comes to wages. I think they're similar to United. I don't think they've got any players who are on like 350, 400k. By all means, let me know if I've got that one wrong. So I think United's top sort of earners are on like 250, and it might be something similar with Arsenal. So it might just come down to the player's preference. Let me know what you think about the Fernandes thing, because it isn't going away. There seems to be a little bit of momentum with this story in terms of Mateus Fernandes coming to Manchester United. And he seems to be a player, most of the fans I speak to, and I don't speak to all of them, they like the idea of him coming to Manchester United. I think he's on course to be relegated twice in 2 years or whatever. But this is a player that a lot of people are looking at going, yep, he could do a job at Manchester United. He's still only young. He's Premier League proven. And despite the fact he's been at clubs that have struggled in the Premier League, that ain't his fault. Let me know what you think. Heaven Soul also says, Arsenal do have high wages. They rocketed up with Arteta. I didn't realise that. I thought they were similar to us, but apparently not. Saka, 300k. He's done well, hasn't he? And Havertz. So that could be a sticking point then for us, because I don't think we'd go that high. And if they're willing to do that, what can we do? Heaven Soul says, difference is they have a lot of non-sporting related income from things like merch. Kevin Credibly says, I've been impressed every time I've seen him, but wouldn't go much more than 50 million. Is he jinxed though? Lol, says Skittle. Nope, it'll come to us. We knew we had a great history with Portuguese players, says Black Rico 09. Yeah, I mean, we can wait and see on this one, can't we? I don't think there's anything definitive to say that it's going to happen one way or the other. I don't know how concrete, for starters, Manchester United's interest is in Fernandes. We spoke to Laurie last night on Inside United. He said there's definitely something there, but is it like, yes, we're definitely going to bid with the bids incoming? Are we going to go toe-to-toe with Arsenal? Is Arsenal's Is Arsenal's interest solid? We'll have to wait and see. It feels like this one's developing. There's another Mateus Fernandes story as well we've got, and this is in ESPN. Now, this also talks about, I think, is it Neco Williams? Yeah, so there you can see it. So Arsenal are the latest side to show an interest in Mateus Fernandes. West Ham midfielder was Mateus Fernandes. So you can see there, the Times have said that they're also interested. Oh, sorry, will be keen to sign the 21-year-old if Christian Norgard leaves, while they are open to offers for the former Brentford man. Fernandes is impressed. Also goes on to say that United are one of several clubs monitoring, or teams monitoring, Neco Williams' situation. Neco Williams, yeah. Do you know what? I got confused. I thought it was the other. I thought it was the Neco Williams. It's Neco Williams from Forest. According to BBC Sport, the Wales international still has 3 years remaining on his contract at the City Ground, but his displays at both left back and right back have caught the eye. United are joined by Aston Villa, Newcastle and Everton in making inquiries, while Forest are looking to make a new contract offer to the 25-year-old to ward off interest. Is there going to be a fire sale at Nottingham Forest this summer? Because it does feel like a lot of their players are linked with moves. Not just Elliot Anderson is the obvious one, but there's a few in there that have, people are sort of looking at, and so maybe is it Gibbs White again? Sangare, I think, is another one that's been mentioned. Now Williams too. I don't know how many players are going to leave the City Ground. I don't have a massive opinion on Neco Williams. I think he's all right. I don't know. Let me know. Get involved in the chat in the comments if you watch more of him. What do you think? Do you think he could end up at Manchester United? Did he start off at Liverpool? Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah, he did, didn't he? Doesn't mean he can't join Manchester United, but sometimes that does put players off, doesn't it? If they've got an affiliation with Liverpool, and works both ways, I suppose. Obviously got a lot of caps for Wales, 55 caps, 25 years old. He's sort of coming towards his peak. Just seems like a decent player. I'm not sure for me personally whether he's the answer to any of our problems. Let me know what you think. No interest in Williams, says Deja Vu. He can't be worse than Anthony, says Herbie5150. We're not judging players off whether they're worse than Anthony. That's not. We want a higher benchmark than that. Jamie99 says, sorry I'm late, Jay. Just noticed the notification as I lay on a sunbed in Crete. Happy Friday. Nice. Whereabouts in Crete? I have been at Crete. Love it. Let's talk about Ederson. This is another one we brought up with Laurie yesterday. Man United can count on Ederson transfer advantage after striking £91 million double deal. So Manchester United have a leg up, apparently, here in this transfer. So Manchester United can look to exploit their recent relations with Atalanta in their bid to win the race for Brazil midfielder Ederson. That's already after splurging £91 million on players from the New Balance arena in recent years. So I'm guessing we're talking about Rasmus Højlund and Ahmad. Yeah. I don't know if that gives you an advantage, the fact that you've spent a load of money with Atalanta. You might have a slight advantage that John Murtaugh's gone there. He was at United. I think he's their football development chief, or whatever the hell he's called. I'm not a big fan of John Murtaugh, I'm not going to lie. I think we had our pants pulled down on the Rasmus Højlund deal in particular. But does that help us because he's got a relationship with United? I don't know. The thing that might help us the most with Ederson is the fact that, bear with me, because it's a bit of a, we have to unpick it. Atletico Madrid wanted Ederson. He was linked with a move there. At one point, it looked like that was almost agreed. It was a done deal. However, then Atletico Madrid shifted their attention to João Gomez at Wolves, which meant they no longer wanted Ederson because Gomez he operates in a similar position. They don't want both, so they want Gomez, which means that Ederson is no longer wanted by Atletico, and it doesn't seem as though he's wanted by many others. Now, that could change. I think he's got 1 year left on his deal, so he shouldn't cost the earth. So if United can get a free run at him, he's only got a year left, then we can hopefully get him for a reasonable price. I would say on this one as well, if Atalanta are digging their heels in and going, no, you're not having him for less than, 55 million, let's just pull a figure out of the air. I think United should be prepared to walk away. If he's got a year left on his deal, we shouldn't be spending, extortionate amounts of money on a player. And L of the house says, which is why we should stay away from Atalanta and their players. He's not happy. We just need to learn not to pay upwards of 60 million from players outside the Premier League. I agree with that one. I want to talk about the FA Youth Cup. I said earlier we're going to have Finn Academy Scoop in later. We are going to be getting into it. But Darren Fletcher's unhappy. He's unhappy about several things here. And I don't think he's being bitter. I don't think it's sour grapes. He's unhappy about the way the FA Youth Cup was handled. This is an FA competition, yeah? The FA run it. So he was annoyed that the venue was at the smaller venue. Obviously, City wanted to play it there rather than the Etihad. He was annoyed at the fact that when City won, there was announcements for all their players and all their coaches over the tannoy when they're collecting the medals. He thought that was disappointing, I think he said. He's also annoyed. I think the under-21s have got a game on Saturday. I think they're playing, so they've got a playoff final, I think. And he was annoyed that hasn't been moved yet, the Amex, on Saturday at 7:30. So they've got players that have played in both the FA Youth Cup final that would have been playing in that, probably not now. So the scheduling's annoyed him. So yeah, he's not a happy bunny with the FA, and I sympathise with him as well. I thought the fact that it was at that venue was a joke. And also, I don't know if you watched it last night, City didn't even sell out their I can't say their end, it's their stadium. Like, there was big chunks of it that were empty. United had, I think, 900 odd tickets, and we obviously sold them all. We wanted it to be played at the Etihad. We offered to be played at Old Trafford. We had 67,000 for United versus Forest, and they couldn't even fill a 7,000-seater stadium. Goes to show, doesn't it, the difference in the gulf between the two clubs in terms of the fan base. But we'll get into the nuts and bolts of that game. Disappointing evening for Darren Fletcher's men. But they're only young players and they'll learn from it. Bruno's given an interview to Joel Bayer, I think. Or he spoke to a few, and he spoke to John Cross, and he spoke to Joel Bayer for the Football Writers Awards. And he's sort of spoken about a lot of things. He said he's not focusing on the assist record. He's putting aside his self. He's more focused on obviously the team. I saw another couple of quotes from either the John Cross one or the Joel Bayer one. Forgive me, I'm getting them mixed up. There was one about Declan Rice. He would have had Declan Rice at United. It looked like he was going to come to United at one point, and he thought he would have done really well at United. So he's a little bit disappointed in it end up there. So yeah, Bruno Fernandes, I think he handles the interviews really well. I think he comes across really well. He usually says the right things. Very honest, very open. I'm very passionate about Manchester United, and I love Bruno Fernandes. And I hope he stays at United for many years to come. I know he's in his 30s, but I don't care. Bernardo Silva has been praising Bruno Fernandes. So Ollie Kay has done an interview with him. And during this interview, I think he said he voted for Bruno Fernandes for PFA Player of the Year. He said he's his mate and he's a good player and all the rest of it. He's leaving at the end of this season. We did a video, didn't we? Posted a video. We didn't do a video. We posted a video yesterday, being a little bit tongue-in-cheek, saying someone sent it us, which is true. Is this Pep's leaving video? Because it was someone at Old Trafford, at the Etihad, being filmed on with some plimps around him with loads of trophies. We put an emoji on it. We were a bit like, is Pep's leaving video? Kind of tongue-in-cheek, and a few City fans, as they always do, sort of, spat the dummy out. Like, of course it's not Pep Guardiola's leaving video, it's Bernardo Silva's. I think journalists I think Ben Jacobs got involved and clarified it and all the rest of it. But we stand by our video and we think we're right and you're all wrong. Yeah? Factually. And you can take your community note down off X or Twitter, right? We're certain that was Pep Guardiola in the middle of the Etihad pitch saying, I'm leaving. If you listen closely, you can hear him. Casemiro. Jamie Carragher has done a piece in the Telegraph. What's going on here? Jamie Carragher in the Telegraph. What are we doing? So yeah, he's spoken about the fact that he'd said that Casemiro, should leave the football before the football leaves you. He was asked about it. I think Bruno Fernandes asked him about it. I don't even think Casemiro knew Jamie Carragher was, to be fair. But Jamie Carragher's done this piece where the top line is, I admit my verdict on Casemiro being finished was harsh. He then sort of explains himself and says that, look, this is a player that at the time was struggling and, he was in his sort of the twilight of his career and he hadn't been getting in the team as much or playing as much, and he certainly wasn't playing the same level he had at Real Madrid. He's sort of justifying what he said. So I'm not going to go through it all. He ends it with, Casemiro is and will always be a Champions League and La Liga legend. When departing Old Trafford, he deserves the ovation he receives from a magnificent career. But when the dust settles, no amount of rewriting history will change this fact. The next time a player of Casemiro's age and status is available for the same salary and transfer fee, United will learn from experience and say thanks but no thanks. I think there might be some truth in that in terms of the fee and the salary. I don't think United would pay the same salary. But ultimately, I think if you could go back in time, would you sign Casemiro if you're United for what we paid for him and the wages we give him? Absolutely. I'd love it if Casemiro stayed on for another year. Ain't going to happen, but Carragher admits it. He got that one wrong. Casemiro absolutely smashing it this season, and he's been one of our best players. It's just become a little so popular, hasn't it? With like Rio getting involved and all the rest of it. But look, it's just an excuse to say how great Casemiro is and how much he will be missed. Ruse Balassi says, Jay, any news about buying a second option goalkeeper? I'm going to have that. I think we'll get into that at another day. There has been a few stories doing that. Nothing major. I think Radek Vitek coming back would be the obvious answer because he's smashed it, hasn't he, in the Championship. Someone else asking me, Jay, did you see the video where Carra tried to defend West Ham disallowed goal and also saying Arsenal goal against us was different? I haven't, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of tribalism and partisanship and even clickbait sort of rage baiting stuff that goes on with some of these pundits and what they say about one decision and another. I don't always take a lot of notice of it. Even some of the ex-United pundits, I think, are guilty of it. Ex-United players, sorry, are guilty of it. So I just, you can make your own mind up when you watch a replay and when you watch a verdict and when you watch a decision, can't you? And so what you think. You can also make your own minds up when it comes to certain players. Just in Jamie Carragher's defence quickly. He has done some good analysis on United over the last few years. I don't want to be too harsh on him because I'm not his biggest fan. He's the next Liverpool player. But he got it wrong with Casemiro, but I think sometimes when he does his post-match analysis, he's actually quite decent. So it's not like he's got everything wrong. I just think the Casemiro one was a bit silly, and he's admitted as such. I'm going to leave it there. Back later on, me and Finn are going to get into the FA Youth Cup final. Also chat about some of the players involved in that and what the future may hold for them. Also, we'll have the brew later on as well. An old friend is coming back to the channel, so make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe. And check out the merchandise, the link in the description. I've been Jay Moy. This has been the Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.